rolling, so we're going to kick off with that. We're going to hear a bit from Eugene. We're going to hear a bit from Ruben.
Aren't you both single?
Are we both single? Carrie, rolling. Wow, moving, found.
Sweet. So good to be back with you guys talking about friendship. Great topic, I think. You know, relationships, friendships go hand in hand. But today, like I mentioned last week, we're going to talk a little bit about conflict. So I thought to kick it off, we'd share something a little bit juicy. If you guys got any stories about maybe offending someone, throwing someone under the bus, or maybe someone did it to you. Thoughts, feelings, stories. Okay.
Sorry, just gonna throw you under the bus there.
Prime example. The only thing I can think of.
Sorry.
When I was like 17
Oh, yeah.
or something, 16 or 17.
Yes.
And like my friend, who was Christian, might I add, was smoking a little bit of the green. And I like told the youth pastor and got them in trouble. And so they were like in trouble and what, I don't actually really know what happened. We stopped being friends for a while. But afterwards, like a few years later down the track, they thanked me for it because, you know, it helped them. So.
Nice.
Anyone else?
I didn't throw anyone on the bus, but I did spit on this girl at intermediate because she was annoying. But I'm not justifying spitting on someone's head. But she was like walking below me under the stairs, and I was like, you know what? And so I started drooling it out of my mouth, and I was like, this isn't a good idea. And then it just went like gravity, and it fell on her head. And the best thing about this though, is she went to our teacher, she's like, Miss, Eugene spat on my head. And the teacher said, Eugene? Oh, he's such a lovely boy. He would never do that.
So in terms of like conflict, how do you guys handle it when you disagree with your friends? So like not just like acquaintances, but actually like close friends. How do you guys like manage disagreement?
I don't like dealing with conflict, and I think that was something I had to learn because I liked to just push it down, but then I learned that if you push it down, it comes up in another scenario when someone says something that might be completely unrelated, and then you just go off at them for no reason.
Yeah.
You know, so then now you've hurt two people, say. But I feel like the best way to do it is genuinely to talk. Like, never do it over the phone or never do it on
Via
a
text message,
So,
the
like,
worst.
your emotions just never get conveyed properly. I feel like you just need to sit down with them, and you also need to respect them because they have an opinion on it as well. So you need to actually like genuinely hear them out. And if you're not in a good place to be able to hear them out, don't talk to them yet.
Yeah.
And don't talk about it to someone else, especially not someone who's like on the same level as you. Like I'd never go to like one of my friends the same age to ask for advice about conflict. You know, like always go to someone above you, I feel. Yeah.
So I feel like the longer you leave those situations, like the harder they are to broach in the future. So like usually it's just easier to kind of like sort it out when it's just clean and simple at the beginning, and get kind of your thoughts out the way, and a bit more simple.
Yeah, because if you dwell on it, you might like not remember exactly what happened, and then you change it in your mind a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, like
So
what we were
true.
talking about when you like your imagination goes a little bit, and now you remember it being worse than what it
It's
actually
like way
was.
bigger than it actually was.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
suppose. Have you guys ever had like a conflict or like a disagreement and it's ended up like huge and then realized, oh, it was just like miscommunication in the first place? Like we're not even really talking about
The same thing.
like the same thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I'm sure I have.
Kind of. Like, I remember there was something that a friend of mine once did that was really frustrating, and I didn't say anything about it, and then all of a sudden I blew up at them like publicly once, and it kind of like threw our friendship one way. And it was funny because I didn't bring it to the surface, or because I didn't communicate with them like what you're doing is actually really annoying. Instead, in anger, as you were saying, like it'll come up in another way, and unfortunately it was a public
always
thing,
way
and so
worse, eh?
I ended up yelling at them and reflecting on it. Like we ended up sitting down, I was like, I'm so sorry. And it's cool though, because you pray to God that you restore friendship, and it's cool that even now today we're still friends, but just the lesson you learn out of it is like, it's chat.
Yeah,
which is
talk about
awkward. And it's funny because I think even the the concept of conflict, especially growing up, is always seen in a negative connotation.
Yeah.
But you think about the whole thing about like iron sharpens iron. It's like close conflict, a bit of friction and stuff. But at the same time, it's quite refining, and I think God possibly places people in your life for those certain things and to bring out certain Christ-like characters in you, and it's uncomfortable, sure, but long term, I mean.
Yeah, I feel like the way that I see conflict is I always try and avoid the word conflict, but it's more just like communication and learning to communicate healthily. So like if you put two people together, like even a marriage, for example, definitely learned that one. But you're gonna have disagreements because it's two different people. You know, like even in friendships, different opinions, different cultures, different upbringings, and so there's there's gonna be like disagreements and conflicts along the way. But I think the important part is like learning how to communicate healthily. It doesn't need to be like a big blow up. And I think that's like what you were saying before. The earlier you can get onto it, the better, so that it's not like this awkward elephant in the room, you know?
Yeah, but I just feel like what you're saying of always like doing it as soon as possible. Like whenever you sort something out, it always feels so much better at the end. So it's like, why didn't you just do that in the first place? Like if you just drag it on, you just spend so much time feeling bad, and like when you could have just like sorted it out real quick and just felt better, like realized like it was just like a miscommunication or whatever, and don't spend all that time overthinking or whatever, and just sort it out. That's what I find.
That's great.
I was just gonna say, I think it's important, like what you were saying, Sophia, in terms of like respecting the other person and like recognizing that we're all just like imperfect people with our own issues and our own like perceptions and things like that, but actually giving the other person the time of day to listen what they've got to say. And I'm not just being so quick to jump the gun and even like just like quick to judge them, but actually like in the discussion having like the time and the respect to hear them out. Have you guys got any stories about like whether your friend group or like one of your best friends or anything like let you down or hurt you specifically, and how did you like navigate the friendship from that point?
Well, like we were saying, I think whenever something happens in a friendship, in order for it to be a healthy relationship, you need to be able to talk about it. So I think, like Sophia was saying, the best thing is to like, you know, come together and talk. So I had a friend a while back, and she had, so like there was a whole bunch of us, and like, you know how you have like your friendship group, and there's like maybe 7 or 6 or how many of you, and she had something, it was like some event that she was going to, and she like invited everyone except me, and I had like no idea it was even happening. And then I went on Instagram the one night, and like they were all there, and I was like, oh, that's weird. And like Sophia said, I also just like didn't think about it. I was like, oh, all good, and I just left it. But then it happened like again, and so I think for me the best way to solve it in order to carry on in a healthy relationship was to say, hey, can we just talk about this? Because I think if you talk about it, then you can hear their side, and then you can say your side, and you can apologize and move on. Otherwise you harbor like that offense when it might not even have been, you know, their parents might have said, you know, you just need this many people, there's only this many seats or whatever, you know. So you don't leave it just in the air where you can make up your own scenario and think, oh, they don't like you or whatever.
And what if, for example, like you did bring it up to them and it was like a deliberate like thing that they left you out? Like how?
Let's go.
But like, you know, like that happened to me at school. Like I shared the other week where like it was my year 13 ball, and they specifically like left me out of the group, and I remember being so hurt, and I definitely didn't deal with it the best way. Like I literally just never talked to them again. But you know, like what would be like the best way to deal with that? Because I'm sure like people experience that, right? I feel like it's a thing.
I think that kind of ties into last week with with the friendships. Like some friendships aren't worth investing into if they're not going to invest back into you. It's like a two-way thing, and if it's you pouring out one way and you're not getting anything back, you're just going to tire yourself out, and you're going to end up causing more pain than is necessary. So I think realizing friendships that aren't going to go anywhere, and as hard as it may be, but maybe cutting them off or restricting them in your life if they're not healthy. But yeah.
Because also friendships are two ways. So if you're trying to solve it, but they clearly don't really, they're leaving you out on purpose, and they would even tell you that to your face, like, I was just leaving you out. Then it's probably best to just step away, because it's just, you don't have to leave it in a sour way. You can just say, like, part ways and just choose, to basically agree to disagree, and just cultivate joy in other areas of your life and find other friendships,
It's funny, I think today there's a lot of, like, I think one of you guys just mentioned before about if it happens again, or consistency of it happening again, you realize that there is something being a bit more deliberate. Because I think there's a difference, I think, between something happening and being left out, and then there being a full-on offense or whatever. Because I think, especially in today's culture, there's so much, you cancel people out really quickly, or it's like, oh, it's too toxic for me. But really, possibly God's actually placed them there for a reason in your life, and to actually teach you to communicate better, as you were saying.
Good point.
Because, like, you see it so much on social media today. You're like, if a friend doesn't give you like what you want, then just cancel them out. Which I think, to a degree, yes. But I think there's some things actually require time. Friendships are about time and investment, and also asking yourself the same question: like, am I actually investing into them? Am I treating that person well? And just not being so quick to cancel out people in your life real quick, just over like, I don't know, not being invited.
Yeah. And I think it like ties in with the scripture in Romans where it talks about doing all that we can to live in peace with everyone. And I think it's like what you guys have literally been talking about is being able to communicate in a healthy way, not leaving it to fester. And like even just like I always think of like the analogy of like a wound, and how we can often put a band-aid on things but not actually deal with it, and underneath the band-aid it's like festering and getting gross. But if we actually just like reveal it, bring it to the light, and actually deal with it, then it can heal, And I think so often we just push things to the side and be like, it'll be fine, but really in the meantime your friendship's like just underlying like tension, and it's so much better just to bring it up and air it out and create like an environment where you can bring that peace in the friendship. You concur. I
can't. Oh.
Good job, thank you.
Come here. She's like, wow.
Hey.
Alvia.
Hey, Alvia.
Hi. Come. All right. Thanks so much for hanging out, guys, this week. Next week we'll talk about great friendships, how to have healthy friendships and long-lasting ones. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks so much for tuning into City Impact Youth. We hope you guys were inspired by this video. If something in today's video stood out to you, let us know in the comments. And if you'd like to get connected, please follow the links below in the description and DM our incredible team. We believe great friendships don't just happen, but they take wisdom, sacrifice, forgiveness, and hard work to maintain. And Jesus is our greatest example of how to live, and we pray that you would live more like him each day. And if you haven't, like and subscribe to this channel, and we'll see you next time.